You definitely know the hits, and you may even know about the man behind them, but you probably don't know about the family behind him. Welcome to American Esoterica. If history class gives you the money, this is the that's what I want. The essential stuff in between. The personalities, events, and other ephemera that shape our history and culture. I'm Brian Powers. His record company, Motown Records, became synonymous with an entire genre during a crucial period of history and culture. And Berry Gordy became the head of the most successful black-owned business for decades. It's a genuine American success story that speaks to a family struggle up from humble beginnings. Berry Gordy III is the grandson of Berry Gordy, the child of an enslaved 14-year-old, Esther Johnson, and the man who kept her enslaved, James Thomas Gordy. Their family came out on top, but only after 3 generations of hard work, tight times, and sheer will. The first Berry Gordy came into this world in 1854 as an enslaved son of a Confederate private in Cusseta, Georgia. He taught himself to read and write, skills which served him well after the end of slavery. He worked himself to the bone, saving to purchase his own plot of land, which helped insulate his family from some of the servitude of sharecropping for white landowners. Of the 23 children born to Berry and his wife Lucy, only 9 survived, one of them being Berry Gordy II. Born in 1888. Berry Gordy II took over the family farm in 1913 when his father was struck by lightning and killed while out walking the fields of his farm. After a tour of duty in World War I, Berry II, who became known as Pops, married Bertha Fuller, a local school teacher, and began a family. The land that had kept their family moving forward soon produced a blessing of a windfall that came with a curse. Pops made a deal to sell the farm's timber for a tidy sum. Word spread of the small fortune in the hands of a black farmer, angering white locals. It soon became clear that the money put the family in the crosshairs in the Jim Crow South, so Bertha convinced Pops to relocate in 1922, which they did, settling in Detroit. Detroit at first proved nearly as inhospitable as Georgia. Pops watched his remaining assets dwindle, and as the Depression hit, the family lost their house. Still, Pops and Bertha persevered, starting a number of businesses to keep the family afloat, from plastering and construction to the Booker T. Washington grocery store and the Friendship Mutual Life Insurance Company. Pops was the recipient of an entrepreneurial spirit from his father, and not only did he and his wife put it into practice, they instilled it in each of their 8 children. Several of them formed their own businesses, including Berry Gordy III, confusingly known to us as Berry Gordy Jr. After writing a small string of hits for Jackie Wilson, Berry Gordy III or Jr. noticed his pathetic songwriting royalty checks and decided to form his own label. He had in mind a process for music production to construct R&B hits the way that Ford constructed cars, pairing great songwriters with great singers and backing those groups with an army of stylists and managers, each dedicated to a highly specialized portion of the entire task of creating records. To do that, though, he'd need enough money to record and press the very first record, and that would cost $1,000. Gordy worked his way through Detroit trying to come up with the money, but it was no use. No bank would loan him the money. There was one place he could turn, and hat in hand, Gordy went to the board of the Burberry Co-op to ask for a loan. Knowing the struggles that the family had been through, and understanding there would be no help or support from white America, Esther Gordy Edwards, Berry Gordy's older sister, convinced the family to create a family savings fund, the Burberry Cooperative, named for Pops and Bertha. Each family member contributed $10 a month to the fund. They held weekly meetings to discuss the status of the fund and make decisions, and they kept detailed minutes and records of all meetings and transactions. All decisions to disperse or loan funds had to be unanimous. Gordy made his pitch to the family, which didn't go smoothly at first, owing to the fact that this wasn't the first time he had asked for money. His older brother and Pops had pulled together cash, including taking out a loan, to help set Berry up with a jazz store a few years earlier. Berry had miscalculated the demand and soon went out of business. so the family was wary to entrust Barry with any more money for his musical flights of fancy. Esther, the president of the fund, pushed back especially hard, knowing that Barry enjoyed a flashy lifestyle and may have been the least ambitious of the Gordy children. The members of the Burberry Co-op ultimately agreed to loan Barry the money, but the skeptics among them extracted concessions. The amount would be $800, not $1,000, and it would be repaid in 2 years with 6% interest according to a promissory note they made him sign. Oh, and the co-op would receive a cut of the royalties of the record label too. Barry Gordy was off, and he immediately recorded, pressed, and released the first record from his new label, Tamla. He'd rename it to Motown later, after moving his family into the upper unit of a 2-flat apartment building he purchased in 1960. Downstairs, in a space he christened Hitsville, USA, he began building his empire. His siblings pitched in to help, and together the Gordy family made an indelible mark on American culture, creating hit after hit in full validation of Barry's business model, all from the grandchild of a man born into bondage, Barry Gordy I. That isn't the end of the influence of the Gordy family, though. Barry Gordy's grandfather was not the only child to issue from James Thomas Gordy. Through his wife Harriet, the Confederate soldier produced a son, James J. Gordy, and he, in turn, had a daughter, Lillian Gordy. Lillian married a man with the same name as her father, and they produced a son named after his father, coincidentally producing a line of Jameses that can be seen from space. That son, of course, was James Earl Carter Jr. Jimmy to his friends at Habitat for Humanity, Mr. President to the rest of us, and cousin through a shared great-grandfather to Barry Gordy III, the founder of Motown. This has been American Esoterica. All sounds were made by me, Brian Powers. Did I get it wrong? Did I get it right? Just want to tell me your favorite Motown tune? Drop me a note. The address is yell@americanesoterica.com. More information on the show and its episodes can be found at americanesoterica.com. Thank you for listening, and God bless America.